Hey Gearheads, and welcome to Garage Talk. I'm Corey, and that is a very important vehicle for the Subaru brand. That's our best seller, updated for 2024. That is the Crosstrek. And in this video, I'm going to take you on a quick tour of it. We're going to see how it performs. Stay tuned. Before I get too far into this one, I do want to thank Subaru so much for this. This is actually our first Subaru to have delivered to us by the manufacturer for a full week's worth of testing. We've tested them before, but only through dealer connections and through different events. So we've really gotten to spend some time living with this one. And yes, I've already driven this exact one at an event earlier this year, but it's really nice to get to live with it and see how it fits our family and our lifestyle. While I've got the hood propped open with the prop rod, I can talk about what lies under the hood. This is a premium trim, so it gets Subaru's 2-liter Boxer 4-cylinder. No turbocharger or anything on this one, and it makes 152 horsepower and 145 pound-feet of torque. Not exactly numbers you expect to see here in 2023 for a 24 model, but it does a good job for an affordable, small little hatchback that is going to do a little bit of adventuring and a little bit of commuting. It is mated to Subaru's Lineartronic CVT and their symmetrical all-wheel drive, so you can get all-weather traction in this one. And with the 8.7 inches of ground clearance, this actually has a 1/10 of an inch more ground clearance than our off-road ready 2014 Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk that we drive daily. So yes, this is an impressive little vehicle. Closing the hood, we can appreciate the updated design for the 2024 model year. The grille is bigger and bolder, and the overall look of this vehicle is a little more rough and tumble and ready to go about business than the model it replaces. The outgoing model had a smaller grille and just a little more cutesy styling than this model right here, updated for 2024. This is a very important vehicle for the brand because it is their best seller, with over 150,000 sold last year alone. In fact, as I drove here to film this one today, not only did I get followed by a outgoing generation that had been modified for off-road use, overlanding use, I passed out 4 or 5 others just in my short trek to get here. So this is a very popular vehicle, and Subaru fans are very faithful to the brand. We do get updated lighting up front here with LED headlights and fog lights, incandescent turn signals though. Coming around to the side here, you can see we get nice sidewalls on these Yokohama Geolandar tires wrapped around these nice Subaru familiar wheels. The measurements on these Yokohamas are 225/60 R17s, and they do a good job of providing traction and not a lot of wheel noise. This being the premium model, it isn't the Sport and it isn't the more aggressive Wilderness edition, so we get a little bit of lower black plastic cladding, but not a lot like that Wilderness edition. It's tasteful, it's not overdone, it looks very nice. And coming around to the side, you can see more of this ocean blue paint job, I believe is the name. If I got it wrong, I'll put it on screen, but it almost exactly matches our 2014 Jeep Cherokee. It fits our family very well. So let's see here. We've got similar interior driving dimensions for the front seat passengers, similar off-road ground clearance, and a similar paint job. Could this be our Jeep Cherokee replacement? Well, not so much. We'll talk when we get on the inside. But overall, you can see familiar Subaru Crosstrek styling here from the side. It is a small, lifted hatchback meant for some fun and meant for going off-road. And you can see just how much ground clearance this one really has. And with those wheels pushed out pretty far to the corners, it has very decent approach, departure, and breakover angles as well. Coming back to the back, you can see the updated lights back here. nothing too spectacular, just a more updated Subaru look. As we get back to the back, you get that Subaru all-wheel drive badge here on the left and the Crosstrek badge here on the right. Coming in and opening the hatch, it is a manually opening hatch, so you can quickly get in the back without having to wait on an electric motor. Coming in and looking at it, we do have the all-weather floor mat in this one, which is optional. You can see it is molded to keep any dirt, debris, or anything in that might have spilt. We've got a couple cup holders on the sides here, so you can do a little bit of tailgating back here. And underneath this removable cargo cover is a false load floor, which gives you access to your temporary spare and all the equipment necessary for replacing it. This is a different brand, so we had Yokohama Geolandars. These are Falcon tires for the spare. Very nice placement of it, doesn't take up too much room. This is a 60-40 split bench rear seat, with the 40% being on the driver's side, and the only latches are here on the corners. But because the rear is not just overly huge, I can at 5'10" reach that from the back and fold them forward if I'm back here loading large things. Although as a father with a kid in a child seat, I do wish the 40% were on the passenger side versus the driver's side. You can see we do have a seatbelt mounted to the rear quarter panel back here that can be detached, but does come up over the center just like that, so it's not coming out of the ceiling and does allow for a better view back here. We do have top tethers all the way across, but you'll have to wait for our family review to drop later this week to see what it's like putting Tucker's child safety seat in this one. Closing the hatch is very easy because it is a manually opening hatch, but at 5'10", this is how tall I am. If you have a hard time reaching about 6 foot high in the air, closing this one might be a little bit of a problem. But in our house that was built in 1963, this is completely garage friendly. You can hop in, lift the hatch, park it in there very easily. This is a garage friendly vehicle all the way around. Before we get in this one, I did want to show you the key. Typical Subaru key, nothing spectacular about it. If you've seen a Subaru key, you've seen them all. You've got lock, unlock is the Subaru button, your hatch release, and a panic button. You can deploy a physical key underneath, but it is a proximity key, so you can keep it in your pocket, your purse, whatever the case may be, because you can lock it by pressing right there. That is only on the front doors, and you can unlock it by touching the back of the door and pulling it open. Opening it reveals a cloth interior, which is not unwelcome in this vehicle, priced at under $30,000. So we'll keep that in mind as we get inside. And as I joked, whether or not this could be a replacement for our Jeep, this is an affordable trim. They do get nicer than this one. Starting over here on the door, we get cloth padding up here on the side. It's a nice use of cloth. I really like it when manufacturers do things a little bit out of the norm, and that absolutely translates here. Get a little carbon fiber look plastic right here around the door handle. All your window controls, auto up down for the front, not for the back. Window lockout, your door locks, and your mirror controls. Get a little bit of storage down here and a nice big storage cubby right there if you need it. We do have a power driver's seat with lumbar for the driver here, but it is a manual passenger seat on this trim. Let's go ahead and hop in. I'll close the door, put my foot on the brake, and push the engine start button. Let this thing fire up to life. Now, we'll start over my left knee and work my way across. In our premium trim, not a lot going on, so no options here on the blanks. You just get your brightness control for your gauge cluster. Here are all your lighting controls on this stock right here, including your fog lights, but it also has a turn signal that stays in place. I know some other Subaru models, you click it down and it goes right back to the middle. Not so here in the Crosstrek. The gauge cluster, analog gauges with a small digital helper screen right there in the middle. It does the job nicely. It gives you a nice reading of all your EyeSight safety systems and the like. Pulling out, the steering wheel is a little bit button overload for me. It is a typical Subaru steering wheel. You get all the usual controls here, and ours is not leather wrapped, so it's just a polyurethane wheel. Nothing too special, but again, in a vehicle that is under $30,000, it's not unwelcome or unexpected. Your radio controls are over here. Your driver assistance tech is over here. And then this does have S and I. That will come into play as we drive it because those power numbers did seem a little low, but well, we'll just get into it while we're driving. For 2024, we get this 11.6-inch Starlink infotainment system with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I really do like the vertical format of it. It's very well integrated into the vehicle. It doesn't look tacked on or like an afterthought whatsoever. We get hard buttons for the dual zone climate control, but everything else is controlled on the touchscreen right here. You can go into further details by touching that. It opens up your full climate control screen right there. We also get physical controls for volume and tune, as well as a hazard button hidden right up there. It does a nice job of just cleaning up the center stack without overloading you with too much buttons or information. We get a USB-A and USB-C plug up front here. Both of them interface with the CarPlay system. Like I said, it is a wireless unit, but you can also interface through USB-A or USB-C. 3.5mm auxiliary jack right there. No Qi wireless charging in ours, but we do have a rubberized mat right there. Mechanical control for that Lineartronic CVT. We'll get more into that in a little bit, but when you put it in reverse, you can see fairly nice rear view camera, not overly grainy or anything. We've definitely seen worse, and I would say the most recent would be the 2023 Toyota Sienna Woodland Edition we had. It was definitely a grainy camera that was not the best. We do have heated front seats up here, even with the cloth seating, so that's a nice touch. Electronic parking brake. 2 cup holders here with removable height adjustments in each of them, and then a 12-volt 120-watt power outlet right there. Center console is nicely sized. It is has a fixed in place, I guess, staying in place lid right here, so it's not going to flop down on you if you just want to reach in and get into it rather quickly. We get a nice use of materials up here, different colors, different materials, different look, and I like that it's not just a sea of black up here. We get more of that fake carbon fiber look, and then we have a damped glove box right here, not felt lined, but very nicely sized. You can see we get window controls and lock controls over there, as well as a little bit of bottle storage down in the door. These seats are okay, they're fairly comfortable. They do remind me of the finish of my 2013 Chevy Cruze in this kind of fishnet-like look design. There is a little bit of light green hidden in these to give just an interesting overall appearance to them, that they aren't just a solid gray look. You can see, though, it does... it is prone to snagging a little bit, so we've got a few snags down here. This is a press vehicle that has seen nearly 8,000 miles, so just so you know what you're getting into if you go with the cloth seats. Looking up, we do have a standard sized sunroof with a manual shade, so I like that. It's simple and to the point. You can see me at 5'10". I'm rather comfortable in this vehicle. We do have a manual tilt and telescoping steering wheel on this one, not power. Again, what you would expect from a sub $30,000 crossover. But I can find a very comfortable seating position in here, driving position. Visibility is good all the way around. Headroom, even good with that sunroof. But let's pop into that back seat and see what it's like sitting behind myself at 5'10". Coming in, you can see these doors open nice and wide, so getting that child seat in fairly easy, as well as climbing in myself here at 5'10". Nice seating position. It is a little upright. It doesn't feel like I'm fighting gravity too much to get into my seat. Behind myself at 5'10", you can see I've got a little bit of room. Nothing spectacular, but also not a horrible riding environment back here. I'm not going to be touching the seat back in any way, shape, or form. No map pocket here on the driver's side, but we do get a map pocket. Sorry for the dim lighting back here on the passenger side. No air vents on the back of the center console, but we do get a USB-A and USB-C port back here. So you do get power, but it could get very warm back here very quickly. No sunshades in the doors or anything like that. Again, if you want to see us install the child seat, be sure and hit subscribe. Do have a fold down center armrest. Looks like the previous driver left us a little surprise in this one. And I did mention that seatbelt is removable here in the middle seat. So if you had the seats folded flat, you don't have that seatbelt riding in the way. And then headroom comfort back here. There is a nice big cutout here for the sunroof right in front of my head. So I've got a decent amount of room. The side is kind of coming in on me, but otherwise I'm very comfortable back here. The seat back doesn't recline. So this, what you see is what you get back here. All around, very comfortable, but let's get behind the steering wheel and see what this thing is like to drive. All right, getting behind the wheel of the 2024 Subaru Crosstrek Premium. I will note, we talked about SI drive earlier. It does seem to default to I every single time, but I'm gonna go ahead and put it in S, which is a little bit more sporty and definitely makes a difference out on the road. We'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a moment. The easiest way to get to X mode, which are your off-road modes, is by putting it in reverse, and that triggers the different controls right up there. It just has off or on. We can put it in drive. We are off-road right now, so let's see just a little bit what this thing is like. Oh yeah. Yes, this is a fun little vehicle off-road. Oh my goodness. With its symmetrical all-wheel drive and its little 4-cylinder engine, it's a lot of fun. But yeah, coming back onto the pavement, I'm gonna turn X mode off and, you know, go back my civilized life because, well, that's the great thing about the Subaru Crosstrek. It is a very popular vehicle for multiple reasons. It's a great commuting vehicle, and it is a great off-road vehicle for those seeking a little bit of adventure in their life. And it does all of that without breaking the bank. I know I've said it once or a million times in this video, coming in at, as this one is spec'd, under $30,000 is quite a feat. See what that little powertrain can do when you push it. I mean, the CVT rears its head, it holds gears and keeps you in the power band. This is not a sporty or athletic vehicle when it comes to racing or doing anything very quickly, but it does it very well. So again, going back to the fact that this would make a great commuter vehicle, well, it does just that, especially if you put it in S mode. So again, turning off X mode earlier, that little acceleration run was done in I. So we're going to turn on this road here and see what it does in S mode, which I've learned takes away some of the downfalls of that CVT. So turning on the street, coming to a stop. I'm not even going to brake to torque it or anything. I'm just going to push it and go. And it feels just a little more lively and active. And you can hear it allows the engine to hold the gears even longer, makes for a fun accelerating experience, more so than being in I. In fact, putting it in S mode makes it more fun in your daily commute as well. This has been a fun, peppy little vehicle, even if those power numbers don't exactly say, yes, I'm a fun vehicle to drive. Surprisingly, it's a fun vehicle to drive. Once you know to hit that S on the steering wheel, and then you can have a little bit of fun. You do get paddles on the back of the steering wheel as well, which allows you to access the simulated gears in this CVT. But again, I drive a 6-speed manual daily. When it comes to paddle shifters, I don't know. My brain just doesn't comprehend it. Roast me down in the comments if you want for not using them. Pulling out into traffic. Okay, yeah, it's not going to win any awards for its acceleration or its behavior, but it'll get you moving in front of oncoming traffic, which is the ultimate goal of a commuter vehicle. Anyway, being a Subaru, it does have Subaru's suite of driver assistance and safety tech. So we do have blind spot monitors that give you a little warning on both of your mirrors outside, as well as the EyeSight camera up here. Actually, 1, 2, 3 cameras that do everything from monitor your lanes to looking for different obstacles ahead of you, pedestrian detection and the like. It is a really nice system all the way around, and one of the reasons why people love Subaru so much, outside of just the overall ownership experience. So I mentioned before, this is the first time we've gotten an extended amount of time with a Subaru. Prior to this vehicle arriving in our garage, every opportunity we've had with a Subaru has been 1 to 2 hours long. We haven't really gotten to dive into them. And starting here with this premium trim Crosstrek really is a good starting spot to get to learn the brand. I've mentioned, again, this is their best seller. So getting to know their best seller first and foremost on a level like this with an extended test drive is rather important, and I can absolutely see the appeal of it. And this would slot very nicely up against what I drive daily in my 2013 Chevy Cruze. I got the Eco model with no options, and this is a very similarly sized, powered, and configured. I mean, I don't feel like I've got, I don't feel like I'm missing any luxuries for something that is sub $30,000. And yes, I even have all-wheel drive, and I've got this large touchscreen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, all wireless. So for a vehicle in the size and price class, I feel that it is very well equipped. Though me personally, knowing my personality and everything I would want from a vehicle, I'm very excited to get some extended time behind the wheel of the Wilderness trim. And I know some of you may be sad that I haven't taken this to our favorite off-road testing grounds of Barnwell Mountain. But if I get that Wilderness trim, you better believe I'm going to be taking that one off-road to Barnwell. I just can't pass that one up. Even though I could have taken this one, it is very capable. I did mention it has got essentially the same ground clearance as our off-road ready Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk, which is really saying a lot in a vehicle of this size and of this price. It's very capable, and going up and down our very steep 13-degree driveway, I have never felt like I'm going to scrape or have to worry like I would in some of the competition for this vehicle that maybe sit down a little bit lower. Speaking of competition for this vehicle, we most recently tested the much more powerful Mazda CX-30 in its turbo powertrain with all-wheel drive. And that was definitely a more engaging vehicle to drive on-road, but I can definitely see where the appeal of this vehicle is a little more off-road in nature, more adventure-seeking in nature. And given all of its ground clearance and its symmetrical all-wheel drive that has been proven over the years, I can see where, I can see where people would be much more happier in a Subaru versus a Mazda if you plan on doing stuff like this at any sort of regularity. I know that this is not the type of off-road environment you would typically associate with testing an off-road vehicle, but again, this is really where this vehicle shines. It's a great commuter that when you do need to take it off-road, whether you're going camping or just adventuring a little bit further than most, this thing is completely capable. The suspension holds up quite well, even when the pavement ends. I've been all around very impressed with this vehicle, and I'm glad to finally get some extended time in a Subaru vehicle. Well, that is about all the time I have for you here behind the wheel of the 2024 Subaru Crosstrek Premium. If you want to see more from us, be sure and hit that subscribe button down below, ring the bell. Holly will be driving this later this week, and we will talk about how this vehicle works for us as a family vehicle coming up very soon. We also launched a premium reviews channel, GT Premium Reviews, on YouTube. If you want to see high-end luxury vehicles and performance vehicles in true cinematic quality, go find us over there on our second channel on YouTube, GT Premium Reviews. I'll link that down in the description. And as always, you can find us on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. Everything is at GT Garage Shock, or you can go to gtgarageshock.com where you can see all our pictures on this vehicle and further information that I couldn't necessarily remember off the top of my head as I'm driving this around town and off-road. Short summary of my week living with this Subaru Crosstrek. It is very appealing, budget-friendly, and very capable. Thanks to Subaru once again for allowing us an extended test drive in this vehicle, and until next time, gearheads, bye. Oh, come on, Kia Soul, you could have gone. Go! You could have gone. You still can go. You can go now. Go now. Go now. Go now. What are you waiting on? Man, I had things flying everywhere.